the money chain's running out. It's global, by the way. $5.5 trillion worth of money has been dumped into the system to pump it up after the market collapsed in March of 2009.
So after that money's spent, you think we're going to go right back to where we were?
Going back to where we were, and worse, because now you have all this debt piled on top of it. You can't print phantom money out of thin air, backed by nothing and producing practically nothing.
You will not be able to solve climate change with the current money system. You will not be able to address the unemployment within the current money system.
We live in an infinite growth paradigm, which requires growth forever. It's not that Bernie Madoff was a pyramid scheme or Stanford was a pyramid scheme. The whole economy is a pyramid scheme. The whole global economy cannot be sustained. It requires infinite growth. But infinite growth collides with finite energy.
The whole world is basically bankrupt. But how? How can the world as a whole owe money to itself? Obviously, it's all nonsense.
But this is the very essence of the banking industry. To make us all, whether we be nations or individuals, slaves to debt.
Well, you're talking about things getting much worse.
Much worse. Much worse.
I think we need to reconsider and rethink, perhaps, the very foundations of our economic and monetary system.
I hear and I see and I feel the universe saying to the human race, either evolve or perish. It's up to you.
Yes.
You can either learn how to live in harmony, peaceful coexistence with the planet, or you can go. The planet will remain.
Could all contribute to our downfall unless we summon the national will to act. We've known about and ignored most of this stuff for years.
We have arrived at a moment in our evolution where we have to make a choice.
What does it mean to look in the face of a world that seems to be going rapidly in the wrong direction and say, no, we're going to switch course and I'm going to make it happen?
This new category of entrepreneurs is trying to address some of the really big social and environmental problems in the world, poverty right through to climate change.
If you're an entrepreneur or a business leader, an artist or a musician, a designer, something like that, you're a creative person. Maybe the thing that links these people together is their creativity, is that over the past 100 years, but certainly since 1980, this group was really expanding. We added 20 million new jobs in the creative sector of the economy. That's science, technology, arts, entertainment, filmmaking, design. And in the United States, that's about a third of the workforce, more or less. And this creative class, even though they make up a third of the workforce, if you add up all the wages and salaries in the creative class already accounts for more than 50%. The crisis is kind of the inflection point or the transformation point. You know, if you look back at this, is really a crisis, not just the financial markets and wanted spending and too much credit. It's a tectonic crisis that's associated with the rise of a new economic order. The creative economic revolution has really been going on, in my view, since the 60s. This creative input, this idea input, this mental labor has become more important. So I see this shift as big as and fundamental as the shift, you know, that Marx wrote about when we move from a feudal or agricultural society to a modern industrial economy and society. I see this shift kind of the same way.
A new generation?
A new generation
is coming to power.
They call us the millennials.
But you can call us Generation We.
Generation We.
We are more globally oriented.
We're more ethnically diverse.
We're more technologically adept.
Better educated.
Less politically partisan.
It's when the internet combines with these kinds of passionate pro-am consumers who are knowledgeable, they've got the incentive to innovate, they've got the tools they want to, that you get this kind of explosion of creative collaboration. And out of that, you get the need for the kind of things that Jimmy was talking about, which is our new kinds of organization. Or a better way to put it, how do we organize ourselves without organizations? That's now possible. You don't need an organization to be organized, to achieve large and complex tasks.
The contemporary internet and the tools that make it up give us an immense opportunity to reorganize almost any aspect of our own lives at the moment. And we can work together in ways that ask a deeper question about the role of government.
There's a whole new model that's emerging where we become part of the government. This is a very profound change. I'm not talking about people lobbying outside parties influencing government. I'm talking about unbundling and reconstituting what is a government.
A revolution doesn't happen when society adopts new tools. It happens when society adopts new behaviors.
The monetary system, born of agrarian culture, with hand tools, human perspiration, and all of its scarcity values, is incapable of managing affairs in a high-energy, technologically advanced civilization. The shared economic system of the world is what matters, and that's what needs to change. The monetary system is not bad. It is simply outdated. It used to be good. It used to work. It was the best option for thousands of years, and specifically over the past 200 years, it has helped influence amazing growth in the capabilities of humanity. But times change, most significantly the advent of technology the likes of which could have never been imagined 200 years ago.
We'll wake up to the fact that we're mostly chasing money. We're not teaming up and cooperating to get stuff done. We're chasing money. We're going to have to do something new with money to get into the next economics. And we're not going to have a new global economy without a new kind of economics. Now, so let's talk about the money side of things. Here's how messed up it is. Businesses need customers, people lack purchasing power, but money was invented to bring buyers and sellers together. Communities have work to do. People have perfectly adequate skills for child care, senior care, better student-teacher ratios in the schools. Money was invented to bring work to do and people to do the work together with, businesses need goods. Why I put that there? If aliens landed and they saw how we did money, your businesses want to sell more, your people need the stuff, all that's missing is money, and you invented the money, they would say there's no intelligent life on this planet, and they would get back in their ships and leave.
A study by the German central bank showed that 90% of all money is used for storing value and only 10% is used as a medium of exchange. And we think that's too little.
You're going to see the movement inexorably towards peer-to-peer finance. People will trade individually and independently among each other all around the world instantly and digitally. It's going to happen. There's no denying it.
He is pushing for an ecosystem of local and complementary currencies.
The centralized currency was developed by monarchs in the 12th and 13th century to prevent peer-to-peer transaction and promote individual to central authority transaction. What people want is the ability to transact.
This is one of the beauties of exchange, is it actually creates the momentum for more specialization, which creates the momentum for more exchange and so on.
Now and in the future, social networking websites will know everything about us, not just our personal details, but a detailed personal history. That could concern some people, but I see a positive future.
So you want a bank loan? Well, thank goodness there's no bank managers in the future. You can go directly to your social network and they will understand you because they've seen everything you've contributed online and offline for the last number of years. They'll assign you a value and decide whether they're going to give you a loan or not. It could be 300 people are willing to contribute to your home loan, or it could be 3 million, depending on how popular you are. So what are you worth?
There needs to be a new definition of what is becoming scarce.
Attention is obviously one. Trust, reputation becomes scarce. But ultimately, what is scarce is true moments of authentic connection.
So reputation is going to be everything in the future. And that means values are even more important than we thought.
With increased visibility, your reputation becomes unparalleled.
So over here, you've got the old traditional corporate model. Special people, special places, patent it, push it down the pipeline to largely waiting passive consumers. Over here, let's imagine we've got Wikipedia, Linux, and beyond open source. This is open, this is closed. It won't be so clear-cut. It won't be Microsoft versus Linux. There'll be all sorts of things in between.
We're on the cusp of a third industrial revolution. We're going to begin to understand the mission of this new communication revolution that we financed in the 1990s. It's going to converge with a new energy regime. When energy regimes converge with communication revolutions, when they come together to create more complex civilizations, it fundamentally changes consciousness. It changes temporal spatial orientation.
Because through the cloud, through crowdsourcing, through the bottom-up world that we've created, where not just the elites, but everybody is able to have their ideas and make them meet and mate.
But I believe the environmental movement, and in fact business community, government, needs to go to the top of the mountaintop. And it needs to look out, and it needs to see the promised land, or the land of promise. And it needs to have a vision of a world that we all want. And not only that, we need to create a great transition to get there. And we need to pave that great transition with good things. Human beings want to be happy. Pave them with the 5 ways. And we need to have a signpost gathering people together and pointing to them, something like the Happy Planet Index. And then I believe that we can all create a world we all want, where happiness does not cost the earth.
Our response depends on the conscious evolution of our species, and this response could very well save this unique blue planet for future generations.
Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and the power they took from the people will return to the people.